if you go to the store and the laptop costs $389.99, okay, let's pretend that this was on sale. It was on sale, so I'm going to show you everything all at once. It was on sale for, let's say, 10% off. Okay? We're saving 10%. First, we need to calculate the discount. Okay, I want to know how much am I actually saving on this laptop? Well, I know that I'm going to save 10% of the original price, right? I'm going to save 10% of that. We did this yesterday. How do you calculate percent of a number? What do I need to do with this 10%? We need to turn the percentage into a decimal. So 10% as a decimal would be divided by 100, which would be 0.10. Good. We're dividing by 100 to turn it into percent. What do I do with of? Multiply. Good. And I'm multiplying by 389.99. What do you get? So it's 38.999, right? We want to round to the nearest penny. In this case, though, what happens? What do we have to do? We have to round it to approximately equal to $39, okay? So now I know my discount. I'm going to save $39 on this laptop because of the sale, because it was 10% off. Okay, so we have the original price and now we have the discount. I know how much I'm saving. What am I going to do with that information to figure out the new sales price, right? This is on sale. I want to know how much is it on sale for. I have the original price and we now calculated the discount. What do we got to do? What do you have to do? Yes, we need to subtract. Why are we subtracting? Let's subtract $389.99 minus $39 and we will get the new sales price. What is it? $350.99. Okay, this is a new sales price. So we take the original price, we subtract the discount, and we will get the sales price. Original price minus the discount, right? It's a savings. You're taking money off. Well, we live in Ontario, so then what happens when you bring this to the cash register? Tax. We have to calculate our 13% HST. I'm going to show you two ways to do this. Okay, well, one way to do this is to actually calculate the tax. How much tax am I paying on this item? Well, we're paying 13% of, what was the price, the sales price? $350.99. Okay, again, percent of a number. 13% becomes 0.13 times equals what? $45.6827. Well, that doesn't make sense when we're talking about money, so we round it to the nearest penny. $45 and, sorry, it should be 6,287. So it's approximately $45.63. Now this represents, this represents the tax, but someone just brought up a good point. We don't actually have pennies anymore. So what would we round this to? They would round down, not up, because it's closer to 60 than it is to 65, okay? So the tax is $45.60. That represents the tax. That is how much extra money you're paying. Well, I want to know now the total of the item. Okay, so now we would like to know the total, including tax. Well, we're going to take we're going to take the sales price, which was what? $350.99, which we should have rounded to $351, right? Because we don't have pennies. And we know the tax is, what was the tax? Okay, I want to know the total altogether. How much am I going to have to give the cashier when I go to the cash? What do I do with these two numbers? Add them together. What's the total with tax? $396.60. I'm going to show you a shortcut now on how to calculate this in one step. Okay, so we know the laptop costs $351 on sale, right? I want to know how much is it all together with tax. Well, just to calculate the tax, we found the 13%. If we multiply by 1.13, you will get the entire total, including the tax. Does anyone know why this works? 0.63, but we know we don't pay pennies anymore, so we round it to $396.60, which is the answer we had before. We had the same answer here when we calculated the tax and then had to add it on. Why do all that work when you can just find the total with tax just by multiplying by this 1.13? Multiplying it by 1 adds in the original price to your answer. Okay?
Made with Doodlecast Pro.